Well, hello again everybody and welcome back to Fujit's Blitz, and this time we're going to be looking at the German tech tree changes in update 5.5. Now, I've focused only on the German tech tree. Why? Because most people play the German tanks, funnily enough, which is why it's the biggest tech tree. Simple fact. And it's filled with lots and lots of tanks, some of which are familiar to lots of people. And Wargaming have decided in their infinite wisdom to change this. There are a few videos already on the internet from the likes of Martin Dogger and Skate who go into all the changes, and some of them put a positive light on it and some of them don't. But I decided to do a video and focus on the German line only and give you my view, because I'm an average player and I'm not a contributor. Wargaming do not pay me. I'm not on their list and I do not get press access, which is why I'm not showing you the revised tech tree. What you're seeing is my actual current live tech tree from my account. So what is actually proposed? Well, what's proposed is a complete revamp of the tiers from 1 to 5. Some tanks are going to be moved. So let's dispel a few myths. You're not going to be losing these tanks. Wargaming can't do that. Now I'm going to show you which tanks are going to be changed throughout the video, but I'm going to talk over the top. What they're planning to do is take current tanks like the light tractor and move it to what is called a collectible tank. It will still be in your garage. Now, it may be nerfed. Wargamer are allowed to do that. These are not premium tanks. You have not paid money for these as such. Okay, you may have bought garage slots, etc., etc., but you've actually not bought these tanks with real cash. What you've done is grinded your way to get them. So, if you currently have these tanks in your garage, they will not suddenly disappear overnight. They will change to a collectible tank, but they will stay in your garage. If you don't have them, however, then you can't get them. Simple as that. Although, I've not actually seen anything from Wargaming yet to say if these tanks will be available to purchase or whatever. And the contributors' websites have been pretty ambiguous on that also. So, because of the legal implications of what Wargaming are doing, they are going to allow you to sell a collectible tank for gold. Now, the contributors' websites are saying that you can get up to 28,000 or 60-odd thousand if you sell premium tanks. It's not like Wargaming are taking away with one hand and not giving back with the other. They have to give compensation. That's just the way it works. I mean, it may be a game. You may only have the rights to a pixelated tank, but if you've purchased it with anything, they can't just take it away. They have to compensate you. Simple. Which is exactly what they're planning to do. Look, they may nerf these tanks. From what I understand, some of them will be nerfed. And they won't be the same tank as you've got. You will lose certain things on these tanks. Maybe guns, maybe engines, I don't know yet. Like I said, I'm not a contributor. I don't have all the details. I've certainly not been given anything. This is only what I've managed to glean from everybody else. And it appears that what Wargaming are doing here is, as a business, they need to increase their player base. It's a simple fact as that. They need to get new players. They need to keep new players. And currently, there are, unfortunately, a lot of seal clubbers. Thing is this, I don't hate seal clubbers. The game itself does not impose rules upon you saying that you can't seal club. If you like to play tier 4 tanks, then who am I to say you can't play a tier 4 tank? And who are Wargaming to say you can't play a tier 4 tank? So, they need to try and combat the seal clubbing to keep the new guys in the game. I get that. And I totally agree with that. But surely there are other ways you could do it. Surely you could tinker with the MM so that new players are ring-fenced for quite a considerable period of time. And you prevent these experienced seal clubbers going back down to bash them into oblivion. Now, I'm all for 20,000 battle players being restricted to going back down to tier 3 to bash a guy who's only got 200 games under his belt. But that's MM. You don't need to change the tech trees to prevent this. Well, I don't think you do. Maybe I'm wrong. I don't know. You tell me. Now, I'm showing you here the Hetzer. I've purposely put on the big derpy gun because Wargaming are going to remove this big derpy gun. Why? I don't know. It's a mystery. Why they remove content from the tanks confuses me. Now, I don't actually go out and play with this big derpy gun. I've done it today for a reason. But I grinded this gun. I'm entitled to use this gun. And, you know, removing it because it makes it easier for new players is punishing veterans who maybe like going out in the Hetzer. I don't know. And to then force you to take a tank out in a gun that you may not like, or to remove a gun that you really do like, I think is just wrong. I think it's favoritism, and I don't think it's allowing, you know, the veteran players to play the thing that they enjoy most. Look, I don't generally go out in these tanks that often, and I'm not a great player. I'm not a super duper unicum, etc., etc. But if I want to play those tanks, why can't I? I've grinded them. And if I want to play that particular tank with that particular gun that I've had in my garage for eons, why can't I? Because of a new player who finds the game confusing? Well, surely that's unfair. Surely that's giving too much to the new player. Why should I suffer because of a new player? And that's why I don't necessarily agree with all these changes in 5.5 that are being proposed. Because I think it's now ring-fencing players. And I don't agree with that. I think all players should be treated with equal respect. Okay, we've got to stop seal clipping. I get that. You need to retain players. I get that. It's not fair on new players to face seasoned veterans. I also get that. But surely there are different ways to do it. And if your argument is, oh, it's too confusing for new players, then that's the wrong argument. It's not the right one. Arguing that new players are confused and because there's too much in the tech tree and there's too much this is in my opinion just rubbish. Simple fact. I mean, you could get the new players to stay longer, for example, in the lower tiers, so you can get them used to the various guns, etc. Now, that would assist them greatly. Rather than removing the content from the players who already have it, give the new players time to understand the game. Where's the wrong in that? Now, I understand that Wargaming are going to introduce some training videos. I agree with that. Training videos are good. But don't rush them through. Don't treat them like they're all blithering idiots who have no idea. But this also misses the other point, which is Wargaming is a business. And Wargaming want their players to rush through the tiers, because the more they go through the tiers, the more they're likely to spend. Even a new player who's just joined will be watching the videos on the internet of Bushka, etc. And they'll say, wow, I really want that Death Star because it's got a big derpy gun and I can blow rubbish up. Taking a HE gun away from them at tier 5 on a Hetzer is not going to make them suddenly understand how to play a Death Star. I mean, come on, let's get real here. And this is where I think it's fundamentally flawed. Yes, do everything you can to get the new players to understand the game and to stay in the game. Yes, do everything you can to remove seal clubbing, but not to the detriment of the players who've already got this stuff. That is not fair, guys. It's wrong. It's palpably wrong. And in my opinion, it leads to the next level. And the next level here is totally disregard the mediocre players, totally disregard the average players, because now we're going to focus on the new players, great, and eventually we'll focus on the good players, the super unicums, the guys who play this at a 70-80% win rate. Where will it stop? Once you start introducing things like this, you start destroying it for the majority of the players, in my opinion. And that is not a good thing. And one of the other issues I've got is the lack of press releases by Wargaming itself. Now, Wargaming are meant to tell you what changes are coming out. They are. And so far, the only thing we've got is from the contributors, which I understand. But don't forget, these guys are super unicums. These guys are really good players. And they very rarely take these tanks out. It's simple as that. If they do, it's to do a review. It's not to actually play the game. They play the game at a different level nowadays. But I know loads of players who like playing around in tier 5. Not because they want a seal club, because they like certain tanks. It's you know, we all have favorite tanks. I mean, I love the DW2, and it's going to be a collectible tank. And, you know, I don't know if it's going to be nerfed or played with or whatever. And I love that tank. I really do. And it galls me to an extent that because I love that tank, I'm going to be punished because of a new player. That's not fair. And that's going to make me resent new players. I'm human. And this game is not just about new players. This game is not just about the super duper unicums. It's a game for everybody. And if you bought this game or you got into this game way back in 2014 like I did, and you are an average mediocre player like I am, these changes will stick in your mouth a little bit. It leaves a bitter taste. It leaves the taste that wargaming doesn't care about the majority of its players. And let's be frank, the majority of the players are not new, and they're not super dupers. They're average players, like me. And you can stick as many cherries on top of this as you like. It's still going to be hard to swallow for a vast majority of the players. Because you're selling the average players, thank you, but we don't want you anymore. We want new players to come through the game. And it's all really confusing for them. And I'm sorry it's taken you X amount of years to understand the mechanics of the game. But we're going to take it all away from you now. Because we favour both the new players and, to another extent, as a knock-on, the really good players. Simple. And you may think I'm off the mark there, but I'm not, because they're not touching tier 10 or tier 9. In fact, they're adding to tier 9 a German new tier 9 tank. So they're saying, look, if you're really good, we're giving you something. And you don't play these other tanks anyway, so you don't care. Because you spend most of your time in tiers 8, 9 and 10 because you've got purple win rate. That is wrong. It's just wrong. And that's my opinion. Now, I'm not saying my opinion's right. I'm not saying that I have all the answers. I am an average player and I'm looking at it from my average player viewpoint. And I agree, protect the new players. I agree, retain them and do things that you need to do. But I don't agree that you should do this at the detriment of the average player. It's not fair. And by default, you're also now protecting the really good players, the guys who play at tier 9 and 10. And that's not fair either. You are giving a benefit to the minority to the detriment of the majority. But hey, I'd love to put a positive spin on these changes. I can't. I've not been part of the testing. I don't know what they're going to do. I'm now going to sit back and wait and see what happens. Maybe I've got it all wrong. Maybe Wargaming are doing something that will actually benefit all of us. Let's wait and see. Anyway, guys, thanks for watching. I've been Fujit, and until the next time, have fun out there and happy tanking. Hey, I've been Fujit, and you've been great. I really hope you enjoyed watching this video as much as I enjoyed making it. And I'd love if you would press subscribe. Who knows, we can do some more. By all means, drop me comments, tell me what can be improved, and tell me what you'd like to see. I really love to know. Anyway, until the next time, guys, happy tanking.